Hey, I'm Ryan, and this is Get Your Mind Right. So, today I want to talk about self image and romantic relationships. So, let's first start off, what is the definition of self image? So, I looked it up, and this is a very simple, clear as day definition. Self image is the idea one has of one's ability, appearance, and personality. So, self image is the mental picture one has of their self. Now, why do I put self image and romantic relationships together? And why do I personally think that, your self image is almost the reason to a lot of your romantic relationships? Now, hear me out on this one. So after giving you the definition that self-image is basically the idea one has of their own ability, appearance, and personality. So I was thinking to myself, thinking of my own self-image and thinking of other women that I know self-image in some of our romantic relationships. I'm like, okay, now I see whatever type of book I read. So whether I'm reading a book that really is like diving deep on manifestation, laws of attraction, whether I'm reading a book on just like mindfulness, if I'm reading a book on changing your behavior, especially something for people who have drug and alcohol addiction, they always talk about the first thing you may need to change is your self image. Now, I'm not sure if you would say self image and your belief system is the same thing. I do think they can kind of correlate. You can probably use the words interchangeably, but for now, let's just use self image, right? So, when I was thinking of some of my romantic relationships that were just beautiful and where, just over time I probably grew out of it or whatever the case may be, I noticed that my self image was up extremely high. I believe I was a very can do person. I also believe that at that moment of time, my self image, I was independent, but not independent to the point where I didn't want people around me. I did realize that maybe 3, 4 years ago that my self image was, I'm so independent, I don't need friends. Okay, so keep that in mind with what I'm talking about with self image and romantic relationships. Now, being online, social media, and even with people that I actually know in real life, when they talk to me about romance and things like that, it's a very, I don't want to say this to be mean, but it's a very woe is me type of statements. It's very much like, I never get guys to do this for me. I never had a man do this for me. It's like in a complaining way, but it's in a way of like the things are so small that it's almost like, well, why don't you do it for yourself? And something that I noticed with with women and even with men, but we'll just talk about women so far. With women is that when we have a string of bad dates or just, like I said in my last video, karma's not always what you think. When we have men that do not do the things that we want them to do, we tend to harp on it. And we really do tend to make that a part of our self image. So you could date one guy, and he kind of treated you not the way you wanted to be treated. We as women would use that one situation and then take that on as all men acts like X, Y, and Z. No man treats me the way that I want to be treated. Oh my God, something's wrong with me because, my last boyfriend, he didn't treat me right. So it had to be me. I don't know what I'm doing to give off the vibe that men treat me like this. We tend to really go on a domino effect when we are not treated correctly by someone, and we really make that situation a part of our self image. Something else I notice with women in our self image and romance is how comfortable we feel with speaking up with ourselves. So I notice with a lot of women that they assume, they stereotype, they use prejudices in a way that if one woman speaks up for herself, if one woman has the courage to say no or had the courage to tell a man what she actually wants, other women tend to think that that woman is either masculine, that woman is either like a gold digger, that lady, she's not feminine enough. So we tend to think that being a lady, being feminine, you have to be quiet. You always have to say yes. You can never say the things that you truly, truly want if the guy does not want that. He has to want what you want. If he does not want what you want, that means you can no longer desire it or want it. That's the biggest thing I see with us women. And what I notice is that when we have that mentality that, oh, that lady is masculine, oh, she's too outspoken, oh, she's not ladylike because she speaks up for herself, because she'll say to a man, I don't want to go to that place, I want to go here. We tend to create and think to ourselves, that's a certain image, and I don't want that image attached to me. So that goes and collides with the whole romance thing, because if you're saying as a woman, your self-image, a part of your self-image is to be quiet, a part of your self-image is to be feminine, you need to be clear on what are those traits, because being quiet, well, guess what? In your relationship, you're going to be quiet. You're not going to speak up. If you think femininity means to not speak up, means to always say yes, means to always be available, and you feel like that's your self-image, that is what you're going to do in relationships. So knowing your self-image is so much helpful in romantic relationships, because you're going to start being more aware and more clear of what is in front of you. And then you're going to start noticing, okay, holy crap, am I really causing this stuff? Am I, am I attracting this to me? Am I basically just getting what I desire? Like, your self-image, if your self-image is, I'm quiet, I don't really speak up, I'm very shy, I get so, like, all these things, because a lot of women, we will have these traits, and it's almost like we're having these traits, and this is no offense to people who are legitly have social anxiety. I'm more so talking about when people use all these traits as a way that they think that their spouse is going to be the opposite of that, to fix them with that. And that does not happen. You understand? What usually happens is, in order for your self-image to come about, it has to have the environment for it to come about in. So if your self-image is, you don't speak up, you're quiet, you kind of like for the men to just lead with everything, you could go with whatever flow. If that's your self-image, then you're going to be you're going to be in romantic relationships that image must come about. Does that make sense? You're not going to get a romantic partner. You may get a romantic partner that's kind of like say for instance, saying, oh, I'm shy, oh, I'm an introvert. Okay. An introvert means you gain energy for being by yourself. An introvert doesn't mean that you are shy, but you can be an introvert and shy. So let's just do what most people like to use the word introvert for, as being shy. You don't like being around people, blah, 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 which is not the correct definition, but that's another day. If you want to label yourself as a shy person, so if you see your self-image as shy, being an introvert, you're labeling yourself as that. That's part of your self-image. You go out, you meet a guy, he's an extrovert. You go out with him, right? You guys are going out, you're like, okay, cool. I'm an introvert, I'm shy. I got me a guy that's extrovert. He's bringing me out my comfort zone. Halt. Because one of these days, you guys are going to get somewhere that's outside of your comfort zone. And guess what's going to creep in? That quietness, that yesness that goes with the flowness. And it's going to creep in at the time that you do not want it to creep in. Trust me on this one. It's going to creep in at the time that you don't want it to creep in. And you know what you're going to say to yourself? Well, I just want to go with the flow to get this over with. And then later on that evening, you're going to be bitching and moaning about it. So this is why your self-image and romantic relationships really do go hand in hand. The tighter your self-image is, the better your romantic relationships are. So if you're the type of woman who loves to be the damsel in distress, you'll meet a man and you could play your damsel in distress role. What usually happens is that you're either going to get tired of this man treating you like a kid, because eventually he's going to start talking to you in the sense of you're a child. You're too naive. Let me do X, Y, and Z. You know you don't know what you're doing. Let me do that. And so you will wonder, in the beginning, he was so kind. He helped me with everything. And now it's like, yes, he still helps me, but it's like he's a bully. It's like he's talking crap at the same time of helping me. Well, that's your self-image. Damsel in distress. What do you think distress means? You're looking to be saved. So that's the type of relationship you're going to get. Another self-image that I believe that I had, mine was, like I said earlier, I'm very independent. I don't need anyone, right? When I noticed I had that mentality, romantic and platonic relationships will fall. They would just really fall. They'll be good in the beginning, and then over time, me and the person wouldn't have like an encounter or falling out. We would just space out over time. And then I'll be like, oh man, I want to go out. Should I call such and such? And then I'll be like, damn, I ain't talked to this person in heck alone. I don't think I will feel comfortable calling them, asking them, do they want to go out? And so, like I was saying, I think the screen done freaking froze, but when I had the mentality of I'm Miss Independent, I don't really need no friends, I will have friends in romantic relationships. They'll start off great. We'll end up going our separate ways. We wouldn't have an argument or a type of fallout. Just like I said, I'm so independent, I wouldn't care about calling people like that. I wouldn't care about returning text messages like that. And so when I would want to go out, I'm like, well, damn, I don't really feel comfortable calling such and such because I ain't talked to them in God knows when. So and so me having that Miss Independent so much to the point where I don't need anyone, that's what I end up having. No one around. And in romantic relationships, it will really piss me off being so overly independent, because the guys will really want to help me. And then next thing you know, they stop offering it. And you know what they'll tell me? They'll say, well, I mean, you did everything so much, you just seemed like you didn't need me to do it. And that's when I realized, well, shit, I can't be mad at them because they did try. They tried over 10 times. But I'm so Miss Independent, I'm just doing it all. So you need to really realize what is a part of your self-image and how some of those pieces could actually be hindering you to having the most healthy romantic type of relationship that you truly do desire, because your self-image really plays a big role. It's just like when people say, they're used to being single. That's fine. But when they say like, it's not, I'm saying you shouldn't be comfortable being single. No, but it's like where you don't even like, it's so much just singleness where somebody comes to your home, it's no room for them to be at. You know what I mean? It's so much of you just in your singleness that it's not, it's like I've met people where they're like myself, I'm fine and happy being single. And then there's people that when they tell you that, you can honestly tell that they just gave up. And so they're just like, I'm just here and I'm happy and I'm alive and I'm single. That's the difference. When I say I'm happy I'm single, I'm not saying I'm happy I'm single. I'm saying I'm fine and I'm still happy living life while I'm single. I still want to get married and do things of that nature. But is that something, if it don't happen tomorrow, I'm not going to be somewhere really stressed out in the corner. Just like how I would plan my career, things like that, I do believe you could plan your romantic relationships and things of that nature. I do believe that. Okay, so, I did the damsel in distress type of self-image. I did the overly independent self-image. What about the self-image of, like I said earlier, you believing asking for help is being a gold digger? Right? So what's going to end up manifesting for you? You'll get into a relationship. The relationship will start off fine. He may start asking you for more things, and more things meaning you may have to spend your own money to get there. You may have to put more gas in your car to get there. But because you have said in your self-image, you don't ask men for stuff. Guess what? You're not going to ask him. And then guess what? You're going to build up resentment towards him over time, because in your mind, this asshole got you spending all your money to go spend time with him. And little do he know, you don't even have it like that. So, self-image in your romantic relationship. So these was things I've been thinking about, I think, want to say the past 8 months, because I've just been like, you know, for me, my self-image was very too playful sometimes. So I have switched up my self-image to be not so playful, but where I do take men seriously. Because sometimes I get in relationships and I don't even, I really don't be taking people seriously. And I really do want to start taking my romantic interests very serious. I want to start taking them serious. They deserve it. Yeah, they deserve it, and I do too. So, some improvements for self-imagery, right? So, some of them could be you are intelligent, you see yourself always getting a guy, right? You are his type, right? Because those are some things I notice about us women when we get in our woe is me moments. It's like, I don't even think I'm his type. I think he usually dates these type of girls, or I never get the type of guy that I really want. Da, 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 da. You know, men, men, men respect you. I know that's part of my self-image, that men respect me. People respect me in general. People adore me. I put that a part of my self-image. So you don't even have to be so specific to men. I do mine people, because I'm a social person. When I go out and socialize, I want to be liked by both genders. I want to hang out with both genders. I want to be romantic with men, but I still want to meet women and become friends with them. So for me, it's people adore me, people respect me, people really like my personality. I make people laugh. I see myself as being intelligent. I see myself as being independent, but not independent enough that I cannot ask for help. I also see myself very open to constructive criticism. I'm very resilient. I always get the guy. I got me a nice roster right now. I really love and like myself. So those are like little tips of how you should start seeing yourself and how it will start to reflect in your romantic relationships. Okay? So if you see yourself as like a damsel in distress, if you see yourself as overly independent that you don't need friends, if you see yourself as like a broke woman who barely have money, you see yourself as a woman that don't feel comfortable speaking up. The more you keep making that your self image, you're going to get in situations that those things are going to appear, and it's going to appear in ways where you're like, when you tell people, I didn't say this to him because I don't, the type of person I am, I don't really say that. But now he's just got over on you. I didn't ask him for help with the gas because the type of person is, I don't want to ask a man for money and then he thinks this, or he feels like I owe him. I hate to say it, you already sleeping with him. So why would you not feel comfortable asking him to help you out with gas money? That's not being shady. Oh, I didn't feel comfortable asking him to help me with my homework. Why not? He already took the class. He know how to do that. I'm not the type of person who asks for help. I'm just going to try to figure it out myself. Okay. You when you say you're not the type of person to ask for help, you know what end up happening? You get situations that you need to ask for help. And then you guess what happens? You don't ask for it because you are that person. So that's what you got to understand. If you say you are a person who don't ask for things, the universe, God, the world, like the environment gets set up so that personality trait can appear where you're in trouble and you're like, oh, but I'm a person who don't ask for things. So now I'm in a situation where I need things, but I don't ask for things. Is that making sense? I really want you to get what I'm saying is like, when they say laws of attraction, it's like you're attracting almost the opposite. It's like you have to attract the environment for that self-image, for that belief system to appear. So here's a belief I used to have, a thing of me. I would misplace my keys. Oh my God, I've changed my vocabulary because I used to say I would lose my keys. When I would lose my keys, I would go so far on a spiral of thinking of how much of a loser I am for losing my keys. It would be ridiculous, right? You know what would happen? I would lose my keys at least once a week. And you know how long I will hold on to losing those keys after finding them? To the nighttime. If I lose them in the morning time, I got to be at work and I spend 15 minutes looking for them, 3 hours of that day, I'm cussing myself out in the head for misplacing my keys. So because I said to myself, I'm a loser in the sense of I lose stuff, the universe have to give me scenarios for my loserness to appear. So if I say I get the guy, the universe has to give me scenarios where I have to get the guy. Are you getting it now? If I say I'm always in trouble, the universe has to give me scenarios where I'm always in trouble. So whoever you are, whatever state you're in, you're going to get scenarios to emphasize that state, to emphasize that self-image in the moment. That's what you have to remember. So that's why self-image and romantic relationships go hand in hand. If you say you're the type of woman that, I really do nurture people, I really nurture a lot of people, that means you're going to get in relationships where that nurturing have to appear. Is it clicking now? So if you're a damsel in distress, that means your relationship, whether it be with him, something in your world is going to happen where you're always in need of a man to assist you. So if you want to get better romantic relationships, take the time out and really observe what is your self-image? What is your belief system? And as soon as you figure that out, that's the key, the answer to your romantic relationships and how they can get better.